Ciao a tutti, siamo in diretta dal Microsoft Ignite, il nostro ospite è Thomas Maurer. Ciao Thomas.
Hi Silvio.
So Thomas, you are a principal product manager and you are focused on Arc technology and not else. Can you try to explain us why Azure Arc is now important to be used inside the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So Azure Arc really helps you to bridge your resources like servers, Kubernetes clusters, and infrastructure, as well as other things, to the Azure control plane. Things which do not usually run in Azure, you can connect them like in your own data center, edge location, or even multi-cloud environments. And then you can use Azure management services to manage it in the same way as you would manage Azure services as well.
Yeah, and one of the probably great point is also extend your on-premises solution with the cloud capabilities like Azure Monitor, Log Analytics, and some other part. Can you try to explain us?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, as soon as you have onboarded these resources, again, I'm going to servers and Kubernetes clusters, just as an example, you can then enable these Azure management services such as Azure Monitor, Defender, and many others to basically get the same management capabilities you use for, let's say, your Azure VMs or for other things in Azure, and then also apply these to your on-prem. So when you think about it, if you're in charge of like monitoring, you have one monitoring solution which works for Azure, for on-premises, for edge locations, for other cloud providers as well. And the same thing, for example, if you look at Defender, like if you go into security stuff, you can have the same Defender protection, not just for your Azure resources, but also for stuff which runs outside of Azure. And again, there are many more services like that.
Yeah, what about AKS?
So AKS is another one interesting one. So it allows you basically to run Azure Kubernetes service on top of, for example, Azure Local in your own data center or edge locations. So if you're familiar with AKS in Azure and you run like containerized workloads, you can then really basically deploy AKS also outside of Azure. Now, in extent to just AKS, we also have Arc-enabled Kubernetes, which if you have already like things like OpenShift, K3s, or other Kubernetes distributions, you can also connect them to the Azure control plane, and then also to start managing like monitoring and other things. And one of the great services which comes especially with Kubernetes is also the GitOps integration. So this allows you to basically have an application or a configuration in a Git repository, and then basically assign this to this Kubernetes cluster so that it actually deploys that application. And if you do a change, you're going to do it in a Git repo, and the Arc agent will check if there's a change, and will basically get that change from them Git repo, deployed on the Arc-enabled Kubernetes cluster, and you have the latest version you want there.
Yeah, you're talking about Azure Local, the rebranding of Azure Stack HCI. AKS now is free, is for free.
Yes, so with Azure Local, we have basically it was not just a rebrand from Azure Stack HCI. Azure Stack HCI is going to be part, but we also announced some other great things there. And one of the things we announced now is with Azure Local, you get basically AKS, like our Azure Kubernetes service, for free on top of that. So now if you want to have a Kubernetes solution in your data center or edge location, you get that with Azure Local as well.
Yeah, so the point is that you can use Azure Arc without problem. You pay if you enable some feature, but many times you have also the free component. But probably one of the good feature that I really like it is Azure Update Manager.
Yep.
Yeah, can you explain why you should manage your server on the cloud?
Yeah, so pretty simple again. You probably have servers in the cloud, right? You have systems there, or you have like systems which are spread across different locations, different branches, different data centers, different edge locations. And you want to make sure that they're all up to date. And you want to have that in a single pane of glass, and you want to make sure that there's nothing going wrong with that. So that is where Azure Update Manager come in. So you can use Azure Update Manager for your Azure virtual machines, but you can also use it for Arc-enabled servers, again, Windows and Linux, physical and virtual, and basically schedule your updates, plan them across, like whenever you want to deploy those. You can also group your servers together so that group A gets patched on Tuesday night, and Group B, for example, gets patched on Thursday night, and so that you don't have any downtime in that case. And so that is one great feature you get with Azure Update Manager. And the great thing about this is, if you're now a Windows Server customer with software assurance, you get Azure Update Manager also for free as well.
It's a great point. You're talking about the update. We cannot talk about Hot Patch, Windows Server 2025, and Hyper-V. You can update your host with Hot Patch, and without reboot your host server. Yeah, you need to reboot every 4 months or less.
Yep. So you need about, like, instead of rebooting your server like every month, you're now switching to basically reboot your server every quarter, right? Like, because we can do the month, you're still going to patch like your security updates and all that, but basically it has no impact on the workloads running on top of that server. But for me, by the way, most importantly, even about not just the reboots, but also the way these patches are installed. They're way quicker installed. They're like, it takes a couple of seconds usually to install. And they're also very light on the workload or on the system itself. So when you install these patches using Hot Patch, there's not much going on. Like, usually they sometimes consume a lot of resources, right, while they install. With Hot Patch, that goes away, basically.
Oh, great, it's amazing. So it's time to try Azure Arc and follow the Azure Arc Jumpstart, all the program that Thomas follow with Leo and the other guys. So, thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Silvio.
Ci vediamo al prossimo video. Ciao!